Hello everyone, Eb here with Tech Motorsports, and here we have another E46 M3 with the rear subframe damage. So this one I say damage, and the reason is because I already have the subframe already out, and this one is by far the worst I have encountered myself personally. I've seen worse videos, but yes, it is repairable. But by going through dropping the subframe, I really started kind of thinking of, I don't think I've really touched base on what to look for besides just showing, hey, this is where it's cracked, blah blah blah. So this video is going to pertain to what to look for to see if the subframe is cracked, and you can do that without removing the rear subframe. You can physically do that, and the worst thing you have to end up doing is removing your rear wheel, which is on the driver's side. That will kind of give you a better view of it, but you can do it if you have it on jack stands. You can crawl underneath it and look on the rear driver's side, and you should be able to see some signs of cracking if it is. Now, I also want to be clear on this one. It doesn't make a difference if the car has been track driven. Does not. The way the chassis and the way the car works is when you're shifting gears, when you're decelerating, accelerating, hitting the bumps on the road, that's what causes the cracking. So if you're sitting there and if you're watching this video, it's like, well, I don't track my car. My car, I don't have that issue. No. Every single car that I have done, including my personal 2 cars, have all had cracks and none of them see the track. Now my track car is a different story because I took it out to track one time, then it became a full track car. So that's the only kind of maybe not so true telltale on that one, but beforehand you just never seen the track. So yeah, so let's go through and look at the section. So what I'm going to show you is this video I did earlier on, because I was going to go a different route with the video, but I changed my mind, and this is what I'm going to end up doing. So I'm going to pick up on yesterday's video and show you just from underneath and show you from another area as well. So yep, let's get to it. All right, so here we are underneath the chassis, and we're going underneath the driver's side, and what we're looking at, one of the points is where you can see is right here. So you can see this is the rear section of the actual subframe itself on the mounting point, and that right there, if you look at it, it looks like to be a little bit like rust, and that right there it indicates that the spot weld is somewhat cracked and it's getting moisture in there, so that is not good. Here is another spot. Sometimes you can see a crack right here on this ledge right here. Sometimes you can end up seeing that. On this one I don't see a crack there. Now the other spot that you could look at that is maybe a little bit more easier is right in front of that, right above, same driver's side, and you can see that rough spot right there. It's that spot weld right there, and that one you can see it from underneath the car itself, and that right there is a broken spot weld, so that's getting moisture. So right now technically that area has a small amount of flexing in it. Now here is the other side, or the other portion that we could look at real quick. Now this one right here is this is the actual strut itself, and it is this ledge that leads all the way down. There's 2 things you could look at. As you can see, this one also has a spot weld that is starting to show some surface rust, so that one is cracked as well. And what this lip it ends up doing, again, I'm still on the driver's side, it's on this side right here, which is much more closer to the tire. This side, it starts to crack the seam sealer, and when you start seeing the seam sealer that it's cracked there, that right there, you are getting movement and it is flexing under load. So that's another telltale. You could see it better if you remove the tire. You could see this one. So once I get the tire removed, we'll take a peek at it. All right, so here's the actual seam itself, and what you'll end up seeing is it'll crack right here, which if I can get in, you can see it. It's already starting to crack. So that right there is pretty much separating from one panel to the other. Now, as I got the wheel off, I started looking around, and I did spot this, which you have to have the wheel off, and I don't know if we'll be able to see it to the camera. We'll see it better once we can get the subframe out, but here's another place that you could actually physically see without having to remove anything. Now, It's tough with my light in the way there. And see if I could get it in here. All right, there we go. So, gotta keep it steady. There's two spot welds, and one of them up top and maybe even lower, they look like they're cracked. Now, I could see it better from here, but the other telltale is right, I'm trying to get to it, like right there. There is the actual crack, and you can see that it's been moving a little bit, and there is a little bit of rust coming through from the movement. So that is the crack that actually coincides with the crack that I said earlier, where I normally end up seeing them, and it is there. God, the camera, I just can't get it steady. See if I could zoom in here. Oh. And there it is. There's the crack right here. There it is, right there. Hope you can see it when the light gets onto it better. So that right there, just by looking at it and removing the wheel, I could see that the subframe is technically cracked. All right, so that kind of gives you an idea what to look for in those certain areas. You could probably get a really good picture of it if you do remove the rear wheel on the driver's side and kind of stick your head in there with a flashlight. You should be able to at least see those. But those are the items that you could look for without dropping the subframe. Now, it does kind of give you an idea of what's going on, but you will not know 100% until, or how bad it really is until you drop the rear subframe. Now, this car did make some clunky noise. The bushings were replaced on the differential, that kind of stuff. And like I was talking to the customer, it was like, we won't really know 100% sure until the subframe is dropped. But I was able to check a few items as I was doing it, and I didn't find anything. And of course, in the back of my mind, I'm like, this could be a little bit more worse than I've had, done in the past, and it definitely was. And here's a quick little video of the actual broken section on this car. You go right here. Now that's a lot of movement there. So as you can see, this one right here, that spot weld is broken. This one is broken. It's just cracked all the way around, and the crack goes all the way here. This spot weld is technically not even working anymore as well. And the only one technically holding is this, and then this section here. So yeah, this is pretty bad. And as you keep looking, you can still see that there's another spot weld right there, and this is on the passenger side front, right where the spring perch is at. That means that it's going to be cracked on the inside as well. All right, so there you go. That one, the one that was broken, and that's funny too, because the ones that I see that have the most cracks is going to be under rear subframe, is going to be the passenger front, and then the driver's rear. Those are the ones that I see that I have to do a lot more work on by them welds being cracked, or actually the sheet metal was cracked. So as you can see, this one was pretty bad. I have to go in and check the upper section to see how bad it is, and I'm feeling like it is repairable. But yeah, so we heard some noise on this car. We were kind of wondering what the noise were. Some differential bushings were replaced, that kind of stuff. So the noise still was there, and it physically took to lower the subframe down to be able to physically see that. But like I stated, there are those telltales that you can look at that you at least know something is not right with the rear subframe. So yeah. So hopefully this video makes you go out to your car, jack it up, and take a look underneath and see if there's anything that's out of the ordinary, some spot welds, some rust, some cracks, and yeah. So hopefully you guys get that taken care of, because these things are, man, they're hard to come by nowadays, and the value on these are going up and up and up. So to me, by far, I think this is the best chassis. I love the lines of the E46, and yeah. So yeah, like always, guys, please help the channel out by doing so. You got to hit the like button and subscribe, and hope to see you in the next video.